Let's go!
What's up, dudes? Max here, just back home, plopping my butt in this chair so that I can talk to you all about Mortal Kombat 1. Thanks to WB Games, they had some presence at the show, and Mortal Kombat 1 was first playable to an audience, and not as much as I would like to play it, because there's definitely a lot to dive into with this game, which is incredibly good news, and the thing that I think concerned me the most, a bit from maybe some previous Mortal Kombat games, if not like Injustice 2, I left that entire event pretty excited about the future of this game and what's going to happen. So let's kind of cover all our bases here. I'm going to give you guys some general impressions because this is coming off of like less than an hour's worth of actual playtime, and there is going to be very few people that will be able to convert an hour's worth of playtime into anything really meaningful as far as how the game is going to play out. But what I can give you is what we saw and what's in it. So number one, the visuals. Mortal Kombat 1 for sure is taking a pretty big jump in graphical fidelity, I'd say over Mortal Kombat 11. And once again, this is a situation where you kind of see it in person and it looks a lot better. I will say personally, while I do like the character designs and where they're going, I do like some of the simplistic designs of some of the characters. The thing that visually took over for me personally was a lot of the effects work in the game. And yeah, the effects work is great between Fire God Liu Kang and some of the stuff they got going on with Kenshi. The visuals on those hits and moves is extremely cool. I think there's only one personal gripe I have, and it's the fact that the backgrounds themselves are absolutely gorgeous, like incredibly cool backgrounds. The Malibu stage from like Johnny Cage, and even the other stage with the restaurant is really cool. We've seen a lot of other fantastic stages. The funniest part is this game's taken a much different tone, and we don't get any Mortal Kombat decrepit shit, right? You don't get any like bones of this old dead character sitting on a throne. You don't get some funky cave or some wicked dungeon. Even the stuff that we've seen in trailers is like the Living Woods, and it's very bright and colorful and wonderful. I'm curious if there's going to be an alternate side to all of this, because what it feels like, at least from all the presentation of the game, is that this is a mystical, like wonderful world of death and destruction, you know? Instead of it having the Netherrealm slash like Outworld kind of elements, it doesn't seem like that's really present in this version as of right now. But granted, they've shown like maybe even 10% of what the game actually is representative of. But of what we saw, it's gorgeous. Like, game is actually friggin' beautiful, and I think it looks even better in person than what we've seen in videos and screenshots and trailers alike. That also can be said about the overall presentation of the character select screen. We were seeing how the character select acts, and yes, it's an Injustice style character select where the two characters clash heads and sort of like have stuff to talk to each other. They talk their smack there, and then it transitions directly. It sort of hides its loading into fighting, and I love it. Such a cool moment leading into a fight, you know? Overall, the game does very much rely on the reds and yellows and like dark reds of the Mortal Kombat logo. So you'll see a lot of the UI, all that kind of stuff feels very MK-ish, and we saw this sort of utilized in Mortal Kombat 9. There's some fonts in there that are kind of funky to a certain degree that I'm not a huge fan of, but overall I think presentation in the UI, it all looks very cool. It looks very Mortal Kombat-y. So let's get into the thing that everyone wants to talk about. Let's talk about this gameplay, because if one thing's very apparent when you start playing this game during a presentation from the developers beforehand, they are putting at the forefront of every single piece of media for MK1, of every single element that they are talking about for this game, they are talking about freedom and creativity. It seems to be a huge pioneering design philosophy around MK1. I'm just glad. I'm glad to hear that. That seems very exciting. And you really don't understand it until you get in and start fighting matches, when you start playing as some of these characters. The cameos are the number one thing that you would immediately attach that to, because yes, the situational stuff that happens with cameos is all over the place, and cameos go a lot deeper than just like assist 1, assist 2, assist 3. There is that. There's the neutral cameo, the back cameo, the forward cameo, I believe. And the crazy part about it is that some of those moves can actually be changed. Some of those moves can be like feinted and canceled and charged to do bigger attacks. We saw Sonya do like her big, you know, glowy onion ring stuff, and she could charge it with, if you hold down the button, to do a bigger attack. Jax could also get some stronger command grabs, and certain cameos don't just do the same thing for every single cameo. They really fulfill different roles, and I was hearing that Jax's cameo can be like enhanced in some way where he can turn his command grab into a full combo, which will allow for a pop-up in the end to convert that damage, which is a unique thing. That's something that, like, Jax specifically is really good at. He has these, like, command grab moves. While Sonya was sort of like the jack-of-all-trades, you know, cameo as of right now, she had a fast attack that lets you follow up combos in the air and a command grab one, as well as a projectile, so there's a lot of, like, usability. And the cameos are on a cooldown system similar to the meter usage in Mortal Kombat 11, but also kind of similar to, I'd say even more similar to what's going on in Street Fighter with the drive rush system, because you sort of have to choose defensively what this stuff is going to do. And yeah, the cameos have to refresh and you have to get back the ability to use these things. Different moves from cameos take away different amounts of the cameo meter. So there's a lot of nuance to this stuff, which is great. The regular super bar, though, has, I believe, 3 stocks, and that is good for your EX moves, for your enhanced moves. I'm happy to say that enhanced moves don't just add a singular property to everything, like armor or an extra one hit at the end or something like that. There's some pretty fascinating stuff that happens when you enhance special moves in this game. It almost turns them into different special moves. In some situations, there's more than one specific of those type. So you can do an enhanced version of this one thing, but you can also do a super enhanced version of this other thing that uses 2 bars. For example, I think Sub-Zero had like 3 ice clones he could shoot out, which is just like, what the hell am I looking at? That was incredibly cool. It was cool to see how much moves can change depending on these attacks. And getting back to cameos and overall characters, the nice part, looking at move lists and looking at strings and what's available for the characters, man, characters are kitted in this game. I'm very happy to say that. Not only just in terms of attack strings and what they can do, characters also have aerial attack strings, which serve a multitude of purposes. One's like better for ground bounce or bringing them back down to the ground. One is pretty good for keeping them already airborne. There's another that like hard knocks down for some decent wake-up opportunities if you're looking for that. And these will change on every character, so it isn't like you get one air combo pre-canned for every character. No, like, dude, Sub-Zero had maybe 4 or 5 that all did different things in the air, and yes, those moves in the air are indeed cancelable. So you can cancel into special moves. At any point, you can cancel into cameo stuff. There's a wide degree of things that you can do, which is extremely fun. Not to mention, we were always trying to figure out combos of what's possible here, realizing that we're only using the meter. We're not actually using the cameo stuff, and sometimes we were only using the cameos and not using the meter. Again, there was only so much time to do this, and I don't feel like 30 to 60 minutes is even enough time to grasp these systems and what is possible, because the cameos don't just like lock and turn into combo extensions. They don't autopilot directly into things that are good. No, they require specific timing. They all specifically require a timing after your attacks or during your attacks, or in sometimes before your attacks where you have to commit to it. That'll lead to potentially a conversion into damage. And I love that, right? Granted, it's harder. It is a lot harder to combo cameos and make cameos work, but it's the fact that there's this huge degree of variance there of when you can do it and how you can call that cameo fighter, that assist, that will set up for things that maybe aren't just combo extensions, or set up into a moment that's a hard mix-up sort of situation, or, you know, if you call it really late, does something absolutely crazy in the corner. What I loved is that there's just an absolutely wild amount of possibilities. I was practically getting decision fatigue when I was presented with this stuff, and you really have to focus on, okay, this is what I got to do here, this is what I got to do there, and I love that aspect of this game. I really do. This game is like combo routes the game, and granted, people will figure out really good stuff eventually, but that discovery process at the end of this thing, dude, I'm like, buddy, I just want a lab. Like, I just want to go into an actual real training mode and see what works. Like, what even can you do here? And that's something that I felt was kind of missing maybe from the previous Mortal Kombat, and I am thrilled to say that it's here in abundance, and I'm really excited. The game, however, is not a tag team game. A lot of people would be saying that. No, it's a grounded footsie fighting game in the same way that maybe MK11 kind of was, but the cameos add a huge level of variance to that. Like, even if you do unsafe strings, you can't cancel this unsafe string into a special move, maybe to make it safe, but that doesn't mean you can't cancel it into a cameo, bro. You know, like Sub-Zero would have this low attack that would be normally unsafe, but if you call the cameo during it, then it will make it safe. So again, there's like a level of variance there that's super interesting. Again, Mortal Kombat 11 was kind of this grounded footsie fighting game, and that was its design, right? That was what it was promoted as. Some of my complaints of it was that it didn't have an extreme to go with it. Other games like Samurai Showdown at the time, also, you know, grounded footsie fighting game, but it had an extreme, crazy damage, right? Crazy crazy opportunities to lead to some insane moments that game kind of had, which was fun. That was enjoyable. I think this game answers that question thoroughly, where it knows that it's going to be a grounded footsie fighting game, and it's going for that, but they add so many degrees of different like permutations per moment, different things the player can do, whether or not it's converting this damage into that or going to this situation, or how are you going to get your cameo to defend you on the way in. It's all over the place, man. Like the cameos do so much, it's absolutely bonkers. But ultimately, yeah, it is a grounded footsie fighting game. Still, it is Mortal Kombat. There is no run button for anybody that's curious. The grounded movement while walking is a bit faster. Dashing in this version of the game is not very fast, and you can't block cancel at a dash, but you can press down, so it's a very Tekken-esque looking movement when you try to dash and press down to cancel your dash. But you can also attack out of dash, which is nice. That's a good addition. We just didn't find anybody dashing very much because it didn't seem very good. So I'm curious if that'll change. That was also kind of a thing in the beginning of Mortal Kombat 11, and that did change too. So I got hopes that will also be adjusted, because yeah, the movement on the ground of some characters, some things in the game just feel like they come across as a bit slow. Whether that's certain cameo attacks or the recovery that you have on certain animations in some point, I hope that stuff has a room of flexibility to be tweaked before the game comes out, because I would even be more excited for it if there was an opportunity for the characters to just move a bit faster. If there was even a chance that the recovery from some of these attacks wasn't as long-winded as it is, because that is the one gripe I think I have with MK1's overall like gameplay from this session, other than being really excited about it. It is a bit of a slower game, but ultimately I've gotten this impression from other fighting games that start off a bit slow and then they open up a lot more when you start really utilizing these mechanics that are multifaceted. And that's the thing the cameo system is. It's a very multifaceted system that can open up the game and make it speed up quickly. So I'm curious if that's just what happens internally, and if that's how the game sort of plays out. So granted, we just didn't get enough time to really flesh out these systems and have the game start speeding up in any specific way. But there's a lot of stuff here that are some great calls from previous games. Speaking of counters, the game has no counter system. It's got punishes, but really like counter hits and the way that crushing blows work in the previous game, that is not here at all. In fact, I was even waiting for like Kenny to do a grab, and I would down to that grab or try to punish that grab, and it doesn't set up for like some crazy extra moment or anything like that. I think there is some things that counter hits will kind of work, but it is nowhere similar to the previous Mortal Kombat. There's also an interesting thing to alleviate jumping kicks, because jump in 3 and jump in 4 is very powerful in Mortal Kombat. There's this interesting up block when you press block, and I think you press up during it, where your character aims up and blocks like a jumping attack. And if you do that, it gives you a punish on the ground. But the mix up there is that, oh, did they press the button late? Did they press it early? You know, there's a lot of variance to screw that up if you're going for it. It's essentially a hard read that my opponent is jumping in and kicking me in the face. And if you call them on that and time the up block appropriately, yeah, you're getting a grounded punish. You just beat them up after it. It's kind of interesting. It seems like a direct response to the fact that, you know, jump and kicks are really good in MK. And also fatal blows are back. I think that's no surprise to anybody. They're team up fatal blows now. However, they are different. Like the way that they activate has like a super flash now. So there's a proper moment to sort of react to what's going on. And maybe in previous games, they just happen a bit too fast. So there are some wonderful adjustments to some of the complaints that the previous game set up. And to me, the most valuable one is the creativity part. This is a game where if things remain anywhere similar to how they are now, and we're just playing like 4 characters with a few cameos, there is not much to really bite into here. My God, dude, just what a cameo does to your character is massive. The way you will play the game, depending on the cameo, will change from character to character. They will have a dramatic effect, and that's exciting. It's exciting to have a Mortal Kombat that I cannot wait to see what character shows up and how they work and what tools they're going to give them, because yeah, dude, like even Sub-Zero's moveset in this game is freaking crazy. The amount of stuff they give every single character, and we've just seen bits of Scorpion in the trailers, and it looks like he gets even more things than he's ever had. And that's exciting. All I gotta say is I just want to play more. At the end of all this stuff, in previous demos of Mortal Kombat 11 and even Injustice, I feel like we got an understanding of what this game is really fast. And it's like, oh, so that's the game. Is there anything more? And there's some small variations in between there, some timing stuff, and that's about it. At the end of this, no clue. There are so many things that can happen with these systems, with the way the game plays, that I really do not know how this stuff is going to evolve and what's going to be good, and really didn't even get a chance to wrap my head around all of it with the time we got. That's very good. All I got to say is that has me really excited for the future of Mortal Kombat 1, has me really excited for character potential future, and has me really excited to see how all these systems and tools are going to collide with each other when we eventually start fighting each other online, and seeing how this stuff really works out and what actually is good. So while there is a couple of things that I would love to see changed eventually with the game, like just an overall little bit of a speed up for almost everything, I do really feel like this is going to be a fun game. It's going to be a game where people are going to figure stuff out, and we're going to see some crazy combination, and this person's going to play this stuff wildly different than another person. And that's something that I think Mortal Kombat has desperately needed for a very long time. Either way, thank you guys a ton for watching. Thank you for being patient with this. I'll have some more impressions with other folks that were there at the event. We'll talk all about it and get those up on the channel as soon as possible. Thank you for all the thumbs up that you might also put on this. I do appreciate it. My name is Max, and I'll see you dudes next time.